Good morning and welcome. I'd now like to declare the Scenic Regional Council ordinary meeting for Wednesday the 30th of April 2025 now open, and begin with acknowledging the traditional owners of the lands on which we meet and pay respect to elders past and present. We have a full attendance today, no request for leave of absence, I believe. There are no apologies. I'd now like to welcome Pastor Josh Cox for prayers. Good morning, Pastor, and hand it over to you. Thank you.
Thank you there, Tom. Just reflecting on just something I just want to share briefly, but just the very fact that I know in myself I need wisdom of lots of situations. We've got a situation in our church and in the wider church community as well with another church, and just in trying to mediate some and process and that sort of thing. So just very aware of the wisdom that I need and just in those decision-making processes and helping people with that. And likewise, we've got some decisions here today, but also on Saturday as we think of ourselves as a nation as well. So it just remind me of James and his words to us, to his initial audience, but also to us. If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, and He'll give it to you liberally. And he goes on a little bit later, another chapter there in verse 17, what that wisdom looks like. But wisdom that is from above is first pure, then peaceable, gentle, willing to yield, full of mercy and good fruits, without partiality and without hypocrisy. Interesting description of what wisdom is. Anyway, I'm going to pray that we are wise today and in Saturday and just in our day-to-day personal lives, and that's going to be my prayer. Let's pray. Yeah, gracious God, Heavenly Father, thank you, Lord, for this day. It's a beautiful day. We thank you for it. Again, another opportunity for us to go about the roles and responsibilities that we have been elected to do, that we have chosen to do. We pray, Heavenly Father, for wise decision-making, for good processes. We pray for guidance and for the actual making of decisions in that. Help us, Lord, as people in our own everyday life, our personal lives, our family lives, for me in the church wider ministry, but also just in the community and for counsellors here, their decision making, and then even as we think of Saturday and our decision making as a nation. So Lord, we pray, Heavenly Father, for your wisdom in these matters, and we ask, Lord, for your guidance and direction, and we bring it before you and ourselves in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor Josh, for your wisdom, your guidance, and thank you for what you do throughout the region. We greatly appreciate it. Wish you the best.
Thank you. I'd love to stay, but I'm going to get it off.
Thank you. I believe we have no questions on notice, so we'll move to item 6, declaration of prescribed or declarable conflict of interest by members. Councillor Hay.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, as previously flagged, I'm declaring a declarable conflict of interest in item 11.2, and I'll provide the details when we reach that item. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Just moving now to announcements and mayoral minutes. I would just like to propose a vote of thanks today and acknowledge Saturday the 26th of April. There was a gathering by farmers across the region of the Scenic Rim to hold a fundraiser called Hands Across the Land, and it was a fundraising auction. I'd like to especially acknowledge the efforts of all our farmers here in the Scenic Rim, and that fundraiser and event raised $35,000 and went directly to Farm Angels, and that money is then distributed directly into those impacted by the floods in Western Queensland. It was an amazing effort, and everyone across the state and the nation is well aware of the impact that that flooding event happened. I believe that the stock loss estimates are up to 500,000 now. And I just wanted to commend our farmers and the efforts that they did, because they themselves have been through quite a deal in the last number of years, going back to the 2019 fires, the 2022 floods, 2023 weather event, and then flooding that came after that, and now the recent low that hit us here with the cyclone Alfred. And that impact has been substantial to our farmers in terms of economically and also chipping away at the soil. But what was quite amazing is that they looked to pick themselves up, take themselves forward, and thought of their brothers and sisters in the West that are doing it tougher than us. So very much congratulations to the farmers of our region for their efforts, and we have a lot to be proud of the people and what we do here in this region, and give them great thanks. I'd now like to, I believe there is a presentation of a petition today, and turn to our Deputy Mayor, Councillor Duncan McGuinness.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I have a deputation here from the residents of Roberts Road at Roadvale. It's a road where a lot of people use as a shortcut going from one part of the Fassavant Valley to the other, and it's a gravel road, and I'll just read out the wording of the petition. And that is that residents hereby ask Scenic Rim Council and the local constabulary to organise an on-site meeting along Roberts Road with all the concerned residents to discuss these and other issues which may arise. We are expecting that between Scenic Rim Council and police there may be a solution to the dangers this road presents, such as most critically applying a 60-kilometre speed limit, improve the road, specifically the gully crossings, also undertake the work on the crest to widen the road and provide walkable signs, workable verges, my apologies, place appropriate watch out for children and pedestrian wildlife signs, sharp bend signs, no parking sign, and to consider a resident-only road. The alternative is taking Roadvale Road to Tivietville Road. Also advising residents as to what they can undertake legally to increase safety and reduce dust. Residents hereby ask council and police to organise an on-site meeting with all concerned residents to discuss these issues and other issues which may arise. Sincerely, and it's signed by 23 residents. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you. Councillor, you wish to propose a motion in relation to that petition?
Yes, Mayor, I propose a motion that we accept this petition from the residents and have staff look into what is feasible there.
Thank you.
Sorry, through Mr. Mayor, can you refer to the principal petitioner, please?
Yes, principal petitioner is Chris Bonner, I believe. He's the one that has made contact, so yeah, Chris Bonner.
Thank you. Can I have a seconder to the motion? Councillor Moriarty, do you wish to talk to your motion?
No, I'm right, thanks, Mayor.
I put it to the floor. Those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Now turn to confirmation of the previous minutes. And could I have a confirmation, a motion from the floor for ordinary meeting 26th of March? Councillor Moriarty.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to move that the minutes of the ordinary meeting held on the 26th of March 2025 be adopted.
Thank you. Seconded. Councillor Sanders. You wish to talk to your motion?
No, thank you, Mayor.
I put it to the floor. Those in favour? Motion carried. Can I have a motion for the special meeting on the 16th of April? Councillor Moriarty.
I move that the minutes of the special meeting held on the 16th of April 2025 be adopted.
Seconder, Councillor Sanders. Used to talk to it, Councillor Moriarty.
No, thank you, Mayor.
Those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Any business arising from the previous meeting?
No,
Thank you. I move to item 11.1 and call upon Councillor Chalk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Today I'll introduce Report 11.1, which is Policy Review, Work, Health and Safety Policy. The Work, Health and Safety Policy is due for review on the 24th of May 2025. This policy reflects the commitment that Council places on health and safety and wellbeing. Without further, I'll just move a motion that Council endorse the review and minor update of the Work, Health and Safety Policy.
Thank you. Seconder? Councillor Cryer. And you wish to talk to your motion, Councillor Chalk?
No, I don't think so, Mr. Mayor.
I'll put it, any further questions or comments? I'll put it to the floor. Those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. I move to item 11.2 and call upon Councillor Sanders.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Oh,
Yes, thank you for raising that. If we could address the conflict of interest earlier by Councillor Hay.
Thank you, Chair. I'd just like to make the councillors present aware that I have previously declared a declarable conflict of interest in this matter, but given that I've had an OIA complaint for failing to declare something 27 times, I'll just do so again. I was a considerable time ago a signatory to the petition to save the pig and calf sale yards and have it heritage listed. This was several years ago and it was well before I was elected to council. That was the extent of my involvement. I was not a party to the Planning and Environment Court appeal which took place about the heritage listing, and that is the full extent of my involvement. And I'd like to ask now that the unconflicted councillors decide whether I can firstly remain in the room for discussion of the item and secondly remain for the vote. Thank you.
Thank you.
sorry, through Mr. Mayor. Do you intend, Councillor, do you intend to participate in the vote, actually vote?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
So if I could just draw back to that. So the point is that does the floor believe that the councillor has a conflict of interest? Any comment?
Mr. Mayor, I don't believe Councillor Hay has a conflict of interest. Her position is well known in the public domain, and she has no greater gain or loss from anyone else in the community by participating in the decision making.
Thank you. Councillor McGuinness?
I agree with that comment, Mayor. I think it's, as the Councillor Hayes said, it's quite some years ago now, and it's and before she was elected, and I don't think there's certainly anything to gain for her, or I don't think there's anyone fair-minded person should think that she has got a conflict.
Thank you. Then can I seek a motion from the floor in relation to the proposed declaration that there is not a conflict and that Councillor Hay can participate in the discussion and voting?
Mr. Mayor, did you want to make that the motion that you just said?
Oh, sorry, there's one on the screen.
There's one on the screen you can use.
I'm happy to move that, Mayor, that Councillor Hay does not have a conflict of interest in item 11.2 and may remain in the meeting room for the consideration of item 11.2 and participate in the vote on that item.
Thank you, Councillor. Second to that motion? Thank you, Councillor Sanders. Anyone wishing comment further? Councillor Moriarty?
No, thank you, Mayor.
I'll put it to the floor. Those in favour? Carried unanimously.
No.
Abstaining. Good on you. Thank you, Councillor.
Division.
Just a question, Mr. Mayor, you don't have a conflict, your conflict is finished now? Would that be correct?
I'm happy to talk to it. So I don't know that there's any such, I'm not aware of any such conflict. It was very well known that, and declared that I had a position that the council at the time was not listening to the voice of the people on the matter, and the conflict wasn't in relation to what happened to the sale yards. It was that the fact that the council was ignoring the people and not consulting them with regards to what happened to the sale yards. Whether or not, and that led us to this motion. So led us to item 11.2. If anyone believes there's a conflict there, I'd be more than happy to hear from the floor. Councillor McInnes.
Mayor, I believe now that it's been raised, I think we should have, I don't believe you have a conflict, but I think it would be good practice for us to vote on that, and I have no problem with you staying in the room for the discussion and the vote, but just to clear things.
Certainly, more than happy. Any further comment?
No, I'd concur with that.
Sorry, so is that a motion, councillor?
Yeah, I was just going to say I'll move a motion that the mayor does not have a conflict on this, and that he should be allowed to stay in the meeting for the discussion and the vote.
So, and participate in the vote.
Participate.
Yeah, sorry, yeah. Thank you, yeah.
Seconded. Thank you, Councillor Chalk. I'll put the motion to the floor. Are those in favour? I note I abstained from participation, but the division was
Unanimous.
carried unanimous. Thank you. All right, I now call...
Mayor, could we just note that Councillor Hay didn't vote on the previous motion,
have.
please?
That's done.
Okay.
As per the... Thank you, Councillor McGuinness. It's good to dot the i's and cross the t's. I now call upon Councillor Sanders to introduce item 11.2.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Item 11.2, community consultation results for the future uses of the Beaudesert pig and calf sale yards. I will assume that the report has been read, so I won't go into the entire background of the issue. At the ordinary meeting on the 24th of July 2024, Council resolved to undertake further community consultation to inform decisions about the future use of the remaining section of the original Beaudesert pig and calf sale yards in the centre of town. The council did not have a huge budget, so a hybrid approach was preferred, with officers developing surveys and stakeholder lists and external consultants assisting with the facilitation of the face-to-face sessions, including a targeted engagement facilitated by Kapia Consulting Group with interviews and a focus group with community feedback sessions. The process gathered valuable community feedback, resulting in both qualitative and quantitative data. The findings indicate a variety of views amongst community members. Notably, there is support for using the site for a social gathering place and community activities, along with a desire to acknowledge the site's agricultural history. Other key themes emerging from the consultation include the importance of cost-effective proposals and appropriate uses that complement both Davidson Park and the revitalisation of Beaudesert Town Centre, along with integration of multiple uses to enhance the park and town centre. So I would like to put the motion that 1, Council note the feedback received about the future use of the Beaudesert Pig and Calf Sale Yard site, and 2, Council receive and note the consultation process and provide a summary of the main findings for public dissemination, and 3, Council requests the Chief Executive Officer or a delegate to present an additional concept plan that incorporates minor infrastructure additions, including adaptive reuse opportunities.
Thank you, councillor. Seconded to the motion. Councillor Cryer. Councillor Sanders, would you like to talk further to your motion?
Yes, yes, I'd love to. As a councillor, I believe that council has now done its utmost to engage with all the residents and stakeholders about the options for this site, which had become an emotional and political issue. I continue to believe that the consultation process now allows council to develop some ideas and plans for the future use of the site. I believe that we'll be considerate and careful in how the site is developed, and council will pay homage to our history and the people who have shaped our community. I hope that the community feels listened to and comfortable with the next steps in the process, which will allow a new plan to come to council for consideration and possible approval.
Thank you, councillor. Is there anyone wanting to talk against the motion? Yes, thank you. With that said, then I put it to the floor. Those in favour? Carried unanimously, and thank you. Turn to item 11.3 and call upon councillor Cryer.
Thank you, Chair. As Portfolio Councillor for Community Arts and Culture, I would like to introduce item 11.3, Domestic and Family Violence Prevention Council. I take the report as read. Domestic and family violence is a complex issue which very much requires a multi-agency approach. Council, through the Community Development Team, supports various activities related to domestic and family violence, DFV, and has been invited to confirm its ongoing commitment to this important area of work through continued participation in the local government domestic and family violence, DFV, Champions Network, which is an initiative of the Domestic and Family Violence Prevention Council. During the first week of April, the DFV Prevention Council delivered a presentation to Council which featured a gut-wrenching video by police and many very unsettling statistics, including the realisation that police work was unfortunately made up of approximately 80% DFV cases. The presentation outlined key information on DFV within the community and provided an update about the DFV prevention strategy for 2016 to 2026. Following this presentation, Council has been invited to formalise its support for the work of the DFV Prevention Council, support involvement in the local government champions network, and note local efforts to address this challenging issue, in particular during DFV month of May, which commences tomorrow. I now move the motion for option 1 that Council receive and note the Domestic and Family Violence Prevention Council report and commend the ongoing efforts of the organisation. 2, Council formalise membership to the local government Domestic and Family Violence Champions Network. And 3, Council nominate champions for future engagement with the network.
Thank you. Could I have a seconder to the motion? Councillor McGuinness, thank you. Would you like to talk to your motion, Councillor Cryer?
Thank you, Chair. The work of the DFE Prevention Council is extremely important, with a goal to normalise the non-acceptance of domestic and family violence. And so support from Council in this area is very important, and I'm very glad that we are looking to do this. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor. And those comments acknowledged, and I'm sure supported not only in this room but quite across the region. Is it your intention to propose the actual nominations from council today? or the champions?
We have to move this motion first, Mr Mayor.
Move this motion first.
Yeah. Is it your intention to do that though today?
That would be a good idea to do that in this meeting after we move this motion.
Thank
Yes,
you.
thank you.
Is there anyone wishing to talk against the motion? Councillor McGuinness?
No, if I may just add to Councillor Crier's not speaking against the motion, Mayor. I usually attend the neighbourhood watch meetings in Harrisville, and you think it's a fairly quiet sort of town, and it amazes me just when the police give their report, just how many cases of domestic violence I've had to contend with in the previous month. And when they first did it, I thought, no, this must be a one-off sort of thing. Yeah, it was bad, but it's consistently a lot worse than what I'd like to see it, and they've got a hard job doing it, and I commend this motion to councillors. It is a good idea, and it's far more widespread in our community than what a lot of us realise, I believe.
Certainly. Thank you very much. Any further comment or question?
Thank you, Chair. I'd just like to add to those comments as well. People are under the misconception that Tamborine Mountain is not subject to such a large amount of domestic violence, but I can report back that the police tell me the same. It's right across our entire region. It's not limited to any one area, and it is believed that the DV call-outs for the Tamborine Mountain Police are about 80% of their workload, which is really surprising and quite distressing when you consider there are so many other things that their resources should be utilised for, but they're dealing with what are basically social issues.
Thank you, Councillor. I guess I could also add the comment of the workload that creates in what can be easily an isolated region such as ours presents challenges within itself. Any further question or comment? With that, I'll put the motion to...
Sorry, through you, Mr Mayor, it may be a good idea to have Councillor Crier move 1 and 2, but it might be better to have another councillor move 3, if there is an interest from Councillor Crier as being the representative.
I thought we would just get the acceptance of council
We
to
just want to get
nominate
the
champions
first, and then we'll address that.
And then the nominations could be made.
If we could do it the other way, I'll leave it up to you. I think it'd be better moving the 2 and then the 1.
Councillor nomination.
Am I not just proposing moving that we're nominating champions, but not actually nominating champions?
Or we could just do an amendment.
I don't think it needs an amendment. We're going to actually just nominate the champions post this. Yes.
Sorry, the Acting General Manager.
Yeah, thanks, CEO. Just through the chair, Mayor, I'd probably recommend that if council were going to nominate one or two councillors and officers, that probably should go into the recommendation. We have correspondence ready to go to the people that came and presented to notify them of our particular champions going forward. So that would be helpful.
You. Just to try to clarify, so this recommendation is bringing the issue to the table, but it's also the recommendation is that we are going to nominate champions for the future engagement with the network. Once that motion is through, then we'll call upon a motion from the floor to actually nominate those champions. Is everyone comfortable with that? Does that give clarity? Thank you. I'll put it to the floor. Those in favour of the motion? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you. Okay. Now, do we have a motion of...
Yes, Mayor. I'll nominate from council's point of view, councillor's point of view, that Councillor Crier and Councillor Sanders both who have expressed interest in being part of it, that they be our representatives from councillors for this committee.
Thank you, councillor. Could I have a seconder to the motion? Councillor Hay, thank you very much. Do you wish to talk to your motion, councillor McGuinness?
No, it's right, and they're the only two that have nominated. With all due respect to them, but it's good that they have, and I think they're quite good representatives on this committee.
Thank you very much. Do you accept the nominations, councillor Cryer?
Yes, thank you. I accept the nomination.
Councillor Sanders?
Yes, thank you. I've already applied for the on the Champions Network. Thank you.
Thank you, councillors. Anyone wish to talk against the motion? No. I put it to the floor. Those in favour? Motion carried unanimously.
No.
Did we get a second? We didn't. Oh, you did, sorry.
We had a seconder.
Thank you. And you didn't vote.
And councillor Cryer and Sanders abstained. Councillor Hay was the seconder, I think,
Oh.
not councillor Chalk.
Sorry,
That was a bit of a confusing one to get through, but we got there in the end. Thank you. Thank you. Moving on to item 11.4, I'd like to call upon councillor Sanders.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Item 11.4, Policy Review, Accredited Visitor Information Centres Annual Contributions. The Scenic Rim has 5 accredited visitor information centres, or VICs. Each centre is operated by local community groups, and through their passion for their local town, they establish and have run centres with the support of council. The objectives of this policy are: 1, let's remove the 1. To provide guidelines when issuing annual financial contributions to the Visitor Information Centre operator of an accredited Visitor Information Centre within the Scenic Rim, and to ensure Visitor Information Centres operate in accordance with their individual service level agreement. The current VIC operators are Tamborine Mountain Chamber of Commerce and Industry Incorporated, Boonah District Chamber of Commerce Incorporated, Beaudesert Community Arts and Information Centres Association Limited Incorporated, Canungra Visitor Information Centre, and Rathdowney Area Development and Historical Association Incorporated. These people do a wonderful job. They're absolutely brilliant and they should be commended. I'll put the option 1, that 1, Council adopt the amended Accredited Visitor Information Centres Annual Contributions Policy, and 2, Council continue to fund the existing operators of the accredited visitor information centres for this current financial year, as per the Tourism and Events Queensland Visitor Information Signage Policy under the Service Level Agreement, as per funds allocated under the operational budget.
Thank you, councillor. Seconder to the motion. Councillor Moriarty. Councillor Sanders, you wish to talk to your motion?
Yes, please. Funding will continue on an annual basis for each visitor information centre on the following conditions. The VIC must operate in accordance with the conditions specified in their individual service level agreement and/or tenancy agreement. The VIC must operate in accordance with the criteria specified in the Queensland Visitor Information Centre signage policy, and the service level agreement between Scenic Rim Regional Council and the Visitor Information Centre will be issued for a 3-year period, with annual funding dependent on Council's adopted operational budget. Only a single Visitor Information Centre operator will be funded to operate an accredited Visitor Information Centre for each area.
Thank you. Any questions? Anyone wishing to talk against the motion? On that basis, I put the motion to the floor. Those in favour? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you. Come to item 11.5 and call upon councillor Cryer.
Thank you, Chair. As Councillor for Division 2, I would like to introduce the following. Item 11.5 RAL 24/033, Development Permit for reconfiguring a lot 1 into 30 lots and stormwater basin at 17 Fields Road, Gleneagle, described as Lot 12 RP 865522. I take the report as read. Council is in receipt of an application for a development permit for reconfiguring a lot for a subdivision of 1 into 30 lots and 1 stormwater basin, which is a drainage lot, on land at 17 Fields Road, Gleneagle. The proposed development has certain key issues which include lot size and frontage dimensions, access including pedestrian access, infrastructure and services, earthworks and existing koala habitat. Developments can allow for potential new residents to realise a dream to build and live in the Scenic Rim, a beautiful place, a beautiful environment, a space where they can live and breathe. We don't want to lose sight of this when considering developments, especially when they may be on average overall significantly below minimum lot size. Keeping lot sizes to sizing as prescribed by the planning scheme maintains the uniqueness of living within the Scenic Rim, a major reason people move to the region in the first place. As the development does not achieve a minimum lot size average of 700 metres squared and some lots do not meet the minimum frontages, 14 out of 30 lots are less than 600 metres squared, totalling 47% of the development. I now move the motion for option 2, that 1, Council receive and note the report titled RAL 24/033 Development Permit for reconfiguring a lot 1 into 30 lots and stormwater basin at 17 Fields Road, Gleneagle, described as Lot 12 RP 865522, and 2, Council not approve development application RAL 24/033 for the reasons presented. A, the proposed development conflicts with the local planning instrument Scenic Rim Planning Scheme 2020 as amended 30th June 2023 for the following reasons. 1, the proposed development conflicts with the purpose and overall outcomes 2E lot design of the low medium density residential zone code. 2, the proposed development conflicts with performance outcomes 9 PO9 of the low medium density residential zone code. And 3, the proposed development conflicts with the performance outcome 11 PO11 and performance outcome 17 PO17 of the reconfiguring a lot code. B, approval would not resolve a conflict between benchmarks and the above non-compliances. And C, compliance cannot be achieved by imposing development conditions.
Thank you, Councillor. Do I have a seconder to the motion? Councillor Hay. Councillor Cryer, would you like to talk to your motion?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, there's quite a few key issues with this, and just going by the planning scheme, that with the minimum lot size being 700 metres squared, the actual hectare area would actually just consider that it would be 17 lots would be the acceptable non-accessible area for approval, and this is way above that, as there's like 47% of these lots are actually below the minimum lot size. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the floor? No? Is there anyone wishing to talk against the motion? Councillor McInnes.
Yes, thanks, Mr Mayor. I take on board everything the council has said regarding this, and I know it doesn't meet the standards, but I think we have to ask ourselves, is it with the shortage of housing and, a lot of people do want bigger blocks, but some people do like smaller blocks. And I think we don't want our scenic rim full of very small blocks, and they're only marginally smaller than what they should be. But I think if we can allow some of these smaller blocks and hopefully come onto the market at a more reasonable price, we might get some people into a house rather than not being able to. As I say, I take everything that the council has put on, but I think it's still in the best interest of the community if we do allow this development.
Thank you, councillor. Anyone wishing to talk for the motion?
Thank you,
Councillor
Chair. Yes, I'd like to support what Councillor Cryer has said. The report, which I've read in detail, raised probably more questions than it answered. For one, the koala habitat area, 25 non-juvenile koala habitat trees were identified, but in one part in the report it says that all vegetation should be retained as much as possible, but how many of the koala trees are going to be removed? All 25. So it's obviously the obligation of the adjoining property owners to provide those koala trees or a corridor for other fauna. I also don't agree with the comment that the development will be well serviced by 2 proposed parks in different locations within, I think it's 400 metres from memory. The problem with that is that those 2 lots of land that are identified as future parks are both in private ownerships, and I know that one of the owners has said that they will not be selling. So how long are we waiting for these parks to eventuate? If one owner's not selling, and it says in the report, I think that one park's due to be done in 2026 and the other in 2029, that's a presumption that both of those landowners are going to sell so that those parks can be built, and I think that's just a step too far, personally. What else? Oh, there were a whole lot of other things. I could go on for about an hour on this one. None of the lots are adjacent to areas of open space other than the retention basin, and I don't think that's the intent there. Just quickly. Oh yes, and on the proposed plan, there's quite a bizarre entry to lot 12. And could I ask the officer just to address this very weird driveway entry that actually takes up part of the required 10-metre pedestrian access?
Through the chair, thanks for the question. So that pedestrian laneway is intended to be a shared access way. So it is of a significant width to allow for that shared function. So it can be provided like with a footpath and also a 3.5 metre wide driveway to service both 12 and 13 as recommended by our engineers. So that's the intention of that, to remain as road reserve, but also just have the one-way connection. So there's no intention to connect it to Fields Road for vehicle access, only pedestrian access. So that's the function that was intended by that.
Thanks, Carol. And just to add to the officer's comment, so given that it's only servicing the one block in part of the second block, it's low speed environment. The potential for conflict is very minimal between traffic and pedestrian movements as well, because it's not anticipated that there's going to be a high frequency of vehicle movements. So in these instances, it's considered an acceptable outcome for these designs, and it's not too dissimilar to what you may see in some other residential subdivisions on these more particular corners or areas which are difficult to facilitate a lot design in.
And a further question through the chair. lots 5 and 6 have significantly reduced road frontages there with some sort of creative access proposed. The minimum frontage is 18 metres, I think, is it? Is that correct? 18 metres. One lot is 6.1 and the other is 8.4. I don't think the intent of the planning scheme is to come up with these alternate solutions and not achieve the minimum lot frontages. And also I don't think that having such a significant number of lots on this proposed subdivision that don't meet the average lot size, don't meet the minimum lot sizes and don't meet the minimum street frontages. I really think that it's time that developers went back to the drawing board and looked at our planning scheme and started with what they can get away with rather than putting what they want and trying to make our decisions satisfy their yield demand.
Was there a question in that?
Thank you, Councillor, and you do raise valid comments in terms of strict code compliance. So with this development application being impact assessment, there was a reliance on both the applicant in terms of demonstrating compliance with the higher order strategic outcomes and those considerations as part of the officer's assessment. And then it's effectively on the balance of those outcomes being sought. So those things from a strict code compliance aren't necessarily achieved across the board for this proposed development.
Is there anyone wishing to speak against the motion? Maybe just one further question then. I just do note that the developer did reduce the lot sizes, but didn't accommodate the intent of the planning scheme. So they were walked in. Why is there such a failure by the developer to? This is the starting point. Should be the planning scheme. Why was the failure of the developer to fall so far short? And we're talking 10%.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through the chair. So it's the applicant's prerogative what they're seeking under the planning scheme. So in this instance, because they didn't achieve the table of assessment for code assessment, it does bump them up to impact assessment. With that, it does give greater flexibility in terms of some of the considerations being assessed against and not just strict code compliance. However, it still needs to be assessed across the balance of the scheme. And the councillors are raising valid comments in terms of those character implications, serviceability, and those other are completely valid comments. Yep.
Thank you. Thank you very much. With that, no further questions. I'll put it to the floor. Those in favour of the motion? Against? Motion carried, and we've called for a division. In favour was, you've already got it. Lovely, thank you.
You might.
Well ahead of me.
People at home.
Thank you. Voting in favour, division 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and Mayor. Against division 6. Thank you. I now move to item 11.6 and call upon Councillor Hay.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to introduce item 11.6, the proposed issue of a lease to community organisation, the Tamborine Mountain Men's Shed. I take the report as read. The Men's Shed has over 70 members and fulfils a strong need within the Tamborine Mountain community for access to a venue where members of our community can meet and participate in both social and useful activities. I've visited the site by invitation, I think twice now, and can attest to the excellent utilisation of that site on council property. You have some notes here. I think, yes, 76 members. They have had a long-term lease in the past, which expired in 2021, so they are a long-term tenant. At this point, we're proposing to renew a lease which expired in 2021. So that said, I'll move straight to the motion. I move the motion that 1, council resolve that the exception under section 236 brackets 1B2 of the Local Government Regulation 2012 applies to the proposed grant of lease to Tamborine Mountain Community Men's Shed Association Incorporated for premises situated at lease area B, Part Reserve, Lot 23 on RP 909167, situated at 88 Beacon Road, Tamborine Mountain. 2, council endorse a 5-year trustee lease on standard terms as issued by council for Tamborine Mountain Community Men's Shed Association Incorporated, expiring on the 30th of June 2030. And 3, council authorise the Chief Executive Officer or delegate to execute and finalise a lease agreement to the Tamborine Mountain Community Men's Shed Association Incorporated. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor. Seconded to the motion. Councillor McInnes. You wish to talk to your motion, councillor Hay?
No, thank you, Mayor.
Anyone wishing to talk against the motion? None. If I just make the comment, this is a group and bringing these leases forward, and it's quite a positive for our community. This is a leading example of a wonderful community organisation demonstrating responsibility in the care and improvement of the site, but also the fellowship that's created within this group and the contribution that they make to the immediate community as well as broader. So can only commend to the members here today. With that said, I'll put the motion to the floor. Those in favour? Carried unanimously, thank you. And call upon, now turn to item 11.7 and call upon Councillor Moriarty.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to introduce item 11.7, the proposed issue of lease to community organisation Tamborine Mountain Tennis Club Incorporated. I'll take the report as read and I'll present the recommendation as is. That is, 1, council resolve the exception of section 236 1B2 of the Local Government Regulation 2012 applies to the proposed grant of lease to Tamborine Mountain Tennis Club Incorporated for premises situated at lease area A, Part Reserve, Lot 23 on RP 909167, situated at 88 Beacon Road, Tamborine Mountain. 2, council endorse a 5-year trustee lease on standard terms as issued by council for Tamborine Mountain Tennis Club Incorporated, expiring 30 June 2030. And 3, council authorise the Chief Executive Officer or delegate to execute and finalise a lease agreement to the Tamborine Mountain Tennis Club Incorporated.
Thank you. Call upon a seconder to the motion. Councillor Hay. Councillor Moriarty, you wish to talk to your motion?
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to, first of all, if I could just get some clarity through the chair from the officers of what negotiations or input or communication between council and the Tamborine Mountain Tennis Club have already transpired, and the feedback we may have had from the tennis club.
Thank you, councillor. Yes, the community group has been provided with a copy of the draft lease along with the standard terms and conditions. They're mostly satisfied with those terms and conditions and are ready to execute the lease.
Thank you for that. I'd just like to acknowledge all our community groups, such as the Tamborine Mountain Tennis Club, who take over leases of council-owned properties and stewardship for those facilities. We have a number across the region, and as the councillor with responsibility for sport and recreation, I know just how important it is to have volunteer groups. taking on and looking after these facilities, making them available to the community, and in often cases raising funds through grants and other sources to upgrade and maintain the facilities. So I just commend the work, in this case particularly Tamari Mountain Tennis Club, for their willingness to continue the lease arrangements with council, and trust that that's a fruitful relationship moving forward for all parties concerned. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor. Anyone wishing to talk against the motion? Or maybe comment?
Yeah, a comment or a question, actually, Mayor, if I could, and it applies to all our leases that we're on here. It's 5 years and 3 years to the CEO or the officer. Is there a reason why it is only 5 years? I take it we can get out of those leases if whoever the tenant might be are not doing the right thing by us. Is there a reason why it's restricted to 5 years rather than, say, 10 years? Yeah. No, as Councillor Moriarty rightly pointed out, they've been a long-term tenant. They're sort of, and as most are, and no doubt we're in discussion with most of our tenants from time to time, but I'm interested why we can't go any longer.
Thank you, councillor. The 5 years is as per standard requirement under our community leasing policy. I guess 5 years is a standard amount of time amongst our surrounding authorities as well. Other local authorities in the area is a fairly standard amount of time. You could go for a lengthier term, but the policy is that it's written for a 5-year term. If as per the policy, if the community group does wish to invest a significant amount of capital works into the facility in the near future, then a lengthier term can be looked at.
Thank you. I think that was a very good question, councillor. And just to confirm, so we definitely have, and that would extend, even if it was in the middle of a lease period, we could, if there was a circumstance such as one that you just raised, we could even extend that existing lease to accommodate that situation with the right tenant.
Yeah, we could have a look at it on application of the tenant at the time.
It's important to have that flexibility. Thank you. Thank you, councillor. Any further comments or questions? Anyone wishing? Councillor McInnes?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Hayes Oval in Harrisville might have been 10 years. I'm not totally, I wouldn't put a lot of money on it, but I'm pretty sure that's right. And they have invested a fair bit of money, and they might have gone through that process with council on the lease of the land. Yeah, it's good. I agree with the mayor that it is. Yeah, that clause is there, and that in certain circumstances it can be extended.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, it may be that we have a look at how options could be applied. So if there is a 5 by 5 and go from there, that might be an easier way of doing it. I can understand why there are other issues that are associated with longer term leases. Sometimes it's very difficult to get people to move out at times. But anyway, sorry.
Yeah, the Land Act is something that we need to consider along the way for any reserve lands. Options are not something that's considered under Land Act. And also anything over 10 years does require reconfiguration of a lot if it's not for the whole parcel.
Thank you. Anyone wishing to talk against the motion? Councillor Moriarty, would you like to finalise your motion?
No, thank you, Mayor. I think we've covered everything.
I put it to the floor. Those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Call upon Councillor Cryer to introduce item 11.8.
Thank you, Chair. As Councillor for Division 2, I would like to introduce the following item 11.8, proposed issue of lease to community organisation Tamborine Village Lions Club Incorporated. I take the report as read. As the trustee lease to Tamborine Village Lions Club Incorporated has expired on the 29th of February 2024, Council is requested to consider the issue of a new trustee lease agreement with Tamborine Village Lions Club Incorporated, organisation situated at 2680 to 2726 Waterford Tamborine Road, Tamborine. The discussions have commenced with the current leasee and in relation to a potential new lease, and in doing so, Council has undertaken an inspection of the site, issued a draft trustee lease to the association, and received eligibility documentation from the association in accordance with Council's community tenure over council property policy. With a vision to provide a platform on which to build lasting friendships within their community while supporting their community through fundraising, the non-for-profit Tamborine Village Lions Club became incorporated as an association almost 15 years ago in August 2010. The club currently has 30 active members who meet regularly, organise social events, conduct meaningful community service projects, host monthly markets, and avidly fundraise to help support their local community as well as international projects. When fundraising for a project, a past president once mentioned that the cost of their desired goal was measured in the number of sausages they needed to cook. The facility has been managed appropriately by the club under the terms of the previous agreement, with many improvements made, including installation of the Lions Clubhouse, storage shed and water tanks. And so with that, I'd now move the motion for option 1, that 1, Council resolve that the exception under section 236(1)(b)(2) of the Local Government Regulation 2012 applies to the proposed grant of lease to Tamborine Village Lions Club Incorporated for premises situated at Lease A Area B, Part Reserve 1113, Lot 43 on SP 169267, situated at 2680 to 2726 Waterford Tamborine Road, Tamborine. 2, Council endorse a 5-year trustee lease on standard terms as issued by Council for Tamborine Village Lions Club Incorporated, expiring 30th of June 2030. And 3, Council authorise the Chief Executive Officer or Delegate to execute and finalise a lease agreement to Tamborine Village Lions Club Incorporated. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Can I have a seconder to the motion? Councillor Hay. Councillor Cryer, would you like to talk to your motion?
No, thank you. I think the number of sausages said it all.
And I'll add, they're a great sausage. I can vouch for that. They do a wonderful job out there. Thank you, Councillor. Anyone wishing to talk against the motion? Any questions, particularly from Councillor McInnes?
Point of order, Chair.
Apologies,
I haven't
Councillor.
got the previous one was all encompassing to all these leases.
Thank you. Councillor Cryer, you wish to finalise your motion? Final comment?
No, I'm just very glad that we're able to consider the implementing this further lease for 5 years, possibly 5 by 5.
Thank you. With that, I'll put it to the floor. Those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Call upon Councillor Sanders to introduce item 11.9.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item 11.9, proposed issue of lease to community organisation, Beaudesert and District Junior Rugby League Football Club Incorporated. I just wanted to mention what a great organisation this is, the Beaudesert Kingfishers. Very passionate, enthusiastic group. They do their own fundraising. They've been applying for grants. They've just recently got their women's change rooms via a grant, 300 players, 90 volunteers, how wonderful that we have organisations in our region that do these wonderful things. This is like a social club, lots of members, and it's so beneficial for the community. So I had to have a little bit of a rant about how wonderful the group is. And when you go down and have a look, I'm sure everyone's had a look, the grounds are maintained to perfection. The volunteers are always working so hard. So I'm pleased to put option 1 today. 1, that council resolve the exception under section 2361B2 of the Local Government Regulation 2012 applies to the proposed grant. I'm watching out the corner of my eye. The proposed grant of lease to Beaudesert and District Junior Rugby League Football Club Incorporated for premises situated at Lot 14 on SP 180598, Lot 22 on SP 238306, and Lot 23 on RP 7538, situated at 2 to 4 Peterson Street and 14 to 18 Drumley Street, Beaudesert. 2, council endorse a 5-year freehold lease on standard terms as issued by council for Beaudesert and District Junior Rugby League Football Club Incorporated, expiring 30th of June 2030. And 3, council authorise the Chief Executive Officer or delegate to execute and finalise a lease agreement to Beaudesert and District Junior Rugby League Football Club Incorporated.
Thank you, councillor. Seconded to the motion. Councillor Moriarty. Councillor Sanders, would you like to talk further?
I would. I'd just like to mention that these volunteers and groups, they make such a difference to our community, and they're so beneficial to our area and our region. 1, they look after our areas, and they do what they need to do on them to make the club worthwhile. I've been to the football club on several events, and there's always such enthusiastic people, and they attract people from all around to become involved. And as the kids grow up and go through, a lot of the adults seem to stay with the organisation. So look, I'm absolutely happy to propose that motion. I think this is a great group, and I'm sure we'll be down there to try a stale ale one of these days. It'll be great. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor. Anyone wish to talk against the motion? No questions or comments? I just may add that and support councillor Sanders' comments. But Kingfishers is the heavyweight of Beaudesert in terms of the largest membership of sporting organisation, and is the cornerstone of the social fabric here in Beaudesert, and we can only be thankful for everything that they have done and continue to do. I put the motion to the floor. Those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Call upon Councillor McGuinness to introduce item 1110.
Thanks, Mayor. I'm pleased to introduce 1110, ownership and management of rain and river gauges within the Scenic Rim region. Take the report as read by councillors, and we just like to give a bit of background on this subject. Council owns and operates 23 flood warning assets, which provides information to the Bureau of Meteorology, better known as the Bureau Rain and Flood Monitoring Network. This includes 7 rain gauges and 16 combined rain river gauges across the region. This equipment was built to integrate with the Bureau's requirements of the time. The Bureau have instigated a program to take ownership of rain and river gauges from local councils where they consider the gauges to be in critical locations. Council's gauges are all in catchments considered high priority by the Bureau. The Bureau have stated an intention to take ownership of all of Council's rain and combined river range gauges. The maintenance of these gauges is currently undertaken by Council in collaboration with BOM. BOM currently assists Council with maintenance support for these assets at the start of each wet season and to improve reliability. However, the gauges require both financial resources and time of council staff with specialist skills and experience. BOM takes ownership of these assets is likely of net benefit to council. The burden of maintaining these assets in both staff time and financial cost would be passed to BOM, who are the gauge's primary user and have expertise necessary to keep them working with a high level of reliability. Council will still have direct access to the information from these gauges. Council will still have access to the services the gauges provide, and without the burden of having to support the assets. I might just add, Mayor, also that it is a very important resource that's there for the use in flood time, and not only, but BOM and a lot of our residents keep an eye on those where they are, and it gives people necessary notice of where the floods are coming. The recommendation is that Council delegate authority to the Chief Executive Officer in accordance with Section 25(7)(1) of the Local Government Act 2009 to dispose of flood warning infrastructure to the Bureau of Meteorology as an exemption under Section 2361(b)(I) of the Local Government Regulation 2012. I so move that resolution, Mayor.
Thank you, councillor. Seconded to the motion. Councillor Sanders. Thank you. Councillor McInnes, you wish to talk to your motion?
No, I think I've said enough there, Mayor. They are a very necessary piece of infrastructure around that the whole community do use at different times of flooding, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Anyone wishing to talk against the motion? I put it to the floor. Those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Call upon Councillor Chalk to introduce item 1111.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, today I'll introduce report 1111, which is the council monthly financial report for March 2025. I'll take the report as being read, and I'll move the following motion that council receive the monthly financial report for March 2025.
Thank you, councillor. Seconded to the motion. Councillor Sanders. Councillor Chalk, you wish to talk to your motion?
Not just now, Mr. Mayor. I'll leave it to questions if anyone has any first.
Thank you. May I suggest, just as to fast or make it smoother, if I just through the CEO, we have quite a detailed executive summary, and if we could ask for the acting general manager sustainability to run through that summary for the gallery and the digital gallery as benefit. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can I please pass over to our coordinator of financial management, please?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Through the chair. Just to provide a summary of the financial position to the end of March. So overall, it's largely a continuation of the picture shown in the February monthly financial report. So the financial results to the end of March reflect a stronger than anticipated operating performance, with a net operating surplus of $4.2 million above budget expectations. This was primarily driven by higher operating revenue from increased rates and increased fees and charges from plumbing, building and development assessment services. Variances in operating expenditure reflect the number of vacancies across the organisation, so lower employee expenses. Delays in the reseeding program, largely due to the weather. ICT security enhancements and the ERP system modernisation project. With respect to capital expenditure was significantly lower than budget, mainly due to timing delays in the DRFA works, the delivery of fleet plan items, the reseal program and town master planning, so the Brisbane Street improvements. The overall program is $23 million behind budgeted expectations, with commitments and orders outstanding of $33 million. In terms of the cash position, council maintains a healthy cash position of $70 million at the moment, bolstered by the high operating surplus and the deferred capital outflows.
Any questions arising? Just one question I have surrounding financial performance and position on rates debtors, and in particular just noticing higher numbers coming through that may not reflect a trend, but does that because we're all obviously be on a higher rate base from the previous year. Could just talk us through those higher debtor numbers that are outstanding at the moment?
The graph on page 10 or
11.
Yes, and yes, sorry, through the chair. Yes, that is occurring at the moment, and I'd say it's as a result of continuing practice from the COVID period, when we took a very gentle approach, or even stopped chasing up outstanding rate status during the COVID period, and even after the COVID period, we've still taken a general approach to following up debts, and we've only recently started talking to getting a collection firm to assist us in following up rate payers in that respect. So yes, we have seen a gradual increase in the percentage of rates outstanding over the last couple of years, but I think there's intention to get a collection agency working with us to try and get that back down again.
Okay. It'll be important for the councillors to know the progress of that position now that we've moved on a long way from COVID, even though we are still in very difficult and challenging cost of living times.
Correct.
And can I also say, please, Chair, that we are actually actively in the process of calling for expressions of interest for an agency to help us collect those debts.
Okay. Thank you. Any further questions or comment? Anyone wishing to talk against the motion? Councillor Chalk, do you want to finalise any further comment?
No, I think enough's been discussed, Mr Mayor, thank you.
I'll put it to the floor. Those in favour? Carried unanimously. I'll call upon Councillor Hay to introduce item 11.12.
Thank you, Chair. I did put forward a notice of motion to the CEO as is required, and by way of background, I'll state that I have circulated to all councillors yesterday a link to the OIA annual report 2023 to 2024, and I'll talk about that in a small amount of detail as we go on. The page number I referenced was page 10. It's actually page 7 of that annual report. I'd just like to move the motion before we move on to discussing this. And my motion is that upon A, receipt of a notice from the Councillor Conduct Tribunal or the Office of the Independent Assessor relating to a decision to dismiss a complaint about a councillor or take no further action in relation to a complaint about a councillor, or B, a resolution of the Scenic Rim Regional Council to dismiss a complaint about a councillor which has been referred to council by the Office of the Independent Assessor, or take no further action in relation to a complaint about a councillor which has been referred by the Office of the Independent Assessor, and C, a written request to the Chief Executive Officer from the councillor to whom the decision or resolution relates. The details of such decision, resolution, and the name of the councillor about whom the decision, resolution was made be recorded on Council's Councillor Conduct Register, maintained for the current term of council, i.e. commencing the 4th of April 2024, noting that the inclusion of the councillor's name is only to occur at the councillor's specific request. Should the councillor elect not to have their name recorded, the details and outcome of a decision, resolution are to be included in the register if the councillor makes such a request. 2. Council's Councillor Conduct Register is to record A, a summary of the decision resolution, B, the reasons for the decision resolution, and C, the date of the decision resolution. So I'd just like to talk further to that if I may. If we go back to the OIA annual report of 2022-2023, it specifically mentions the introduction of the Local Government Councillor Conduct and Other Legislation Amendment Act of 2023. And on that same page, it states, and I'll quote, mandatory reporting. Reporting by both councils and the OIA is important to support the transparency of the councillor conduct complaints system. The Amendment Act imposes additional reporting requirements on both council and the OIA. For example, a council must report on the total number of suspected conduct breaches referred to it by the OIA and the respective outcomes. With that increased level of reporting, it doesn't flow on to any level of transparency to anyone other than the OIA. And for that reason, I just have concerns. For example, if you look at Scenic Rim's councillor conduct register since this current term of council commenced, I don't believe there's one single OIA complaint recorded at all, mainly because there haven't been any sustained ones, I don't think. However, if we're going to go, or council has an obligation to have an increased level of reporting about these things, it would not necessarily impose any additional workload to simply put a similar entry into our councillor conduct register. Given that this is an entirely voluntary thing that each councillor can either adopt or ignore, it's entirely up to them, and they can either have their complaint recorded with or without their name attached to it. I think it adds to the level of transparency for those in the public domain and for other councillors, because whilst there are no recorded complaints on our current register, I think it's well known that there are already quite a few complaints, but they're just not visible. I don't think that any human rights or legislation would be violated by the motion that I've proposed, and I think in the interests of transparency, it would be a good thing if councillors did wish to have dismissed or NFA complaints recorded against their name. The public can then see just how many complaints have been lodged against their particular councillor if those outcomes have been recorded. At the moment, there's no transparency whatsoever. Thank you.
Do you have a seconder to the motion? Councillor Moriarty. Councillor Hay, you have spoken to your motion. Is there further additional you would like to make comment on?
Yes, I note that there has been legal advice sought on my motion, and there's also been internal advice provided. However, they're confidential, so I can't discuss what was included in those two documents.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comment?
Can I make a comment, please, Mayor? Thank you. I completely concur with the comments made by Councillor Hay. The fact that it's essentially a voluntary system of having dismissed complaints recorded in the councillor conduct register leaves it up to the individual councillor. I think it will, as Councillor Hay mentioned, lead to increased transparency. I do believe the ratepayers should be aware of the number of complaints, particularly dismissed complaints made against councillors. Obviously, the whole OIA process and the process whether OIA complaints are made by council officers against councillors or councillors against councillors is immaterial. It does come at a cost to the ratepayers. These things, time and resources in compiling complaints and allegations against councillors are at the ratepayers' expense, and I believe the ratepayers certainly should be entitled to be aware of the number of complaints and, potentially the amount of resources that are being devoted to making complaints against councillors.
Thank you, Councillor. Anyone wishing to talk against the motion? Councillor McInnes?
I won't speak against it, Mayor, but I'm in a comment, not unlike Councillor Moriarty. I just hope, and I don't believe this resolution detracts from the OIA process at all. I think it's a good process we have to have there. I think it's some fine tuning, and it's like Councillor Hay rightly pointed out, it's up to the individual whether they take it off or not. And we've seen in the previous council just the high number of people that had OIA complaints, and the big majority of those were dismissed. And when does this verge on vexatious, and some people should be called out on some of these things that are bordering on vexatious at any rate. But I'm not saying that's happened in this term of council, but it certainly did happen last term. I see no harm in doing this resolution, and it calls out, sort of just shows out how many people, how many times that they are just wrong charges that were being investigated.
Councillor Sanders.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I just believe that we're overgoverned, and we have a lot of people looking over our shoulders on every single way we move. I don't want to set a precedent, so I don't think this is probably the right thing to do. But look, I understand if Councillor Hay wants to do it, and maybe we could just allow Councillor Hay to have that included if she wanted. But I also wonder about the costs that are involved, even just to put this motion up now, which we really don't have to do. It's a voluntary thing. We've got all these rules and regulations that tell us what we have to do, and this is sort of a little bit outside of that. And I am understanding why Councillor Hay is wanting it. Is this going to set a precedent, I guess? And I also wonder if one of the MPs that I was talking to recently has said that they're reviewing the whole OIA process, the reporting process as well. Maybe we're just jumping the gun a little bit here if we, vote on this motion now, because I believe that we're going to be handed down some decisions on the OIA and how it's the review process and the reporting process, and that might have exactly what we want here. Maybe this is a little bit preemptive, and again, I do wonder about us spending ratepayers' money on getting legal advice for things that sometimes aren't necessary. I mean, this is voluntary. It's not really necessary. We can go down that track and spend a lot of money if we want to, but anyway, I believe I've stated that we're already following the rules. I don't think we need to add another rule to ourselves.
Thank you, Councillor. I'd actually like to talk in favour of the motion. I commend the councillor for bringing the motion forward. It's totally in line with, I believe, the people's expectations of this region. Particularly around transparency and accountability. I note the recommendation coming from the administration, and also that there was legal advice sought. And regardless of what that legal advice might say or may not say, I took it upon myself to make the exercise at no additional cost to the ratepayer of this region to telephone the OIA and also telephone the local government department of Queensland, and it was very rewarding, those two phone calls, and to find that we are completely in step with the people of this region in terms of this motion, and that we are completely completely in step with the OIA and the local government department of Queensland. In that, it is our option and our power to provide any additional information that we see fit, and that it is our power and our desire, as per the legislation requires the principles of this body, to be as transparent and accountable as possible. I also note the councillor's comments about the costs of doing this, And the weight of these costs in terms of the measures that need to be taken to present that transparency and accountability are quite insignificant, as opposed to the costs to the ratepayer and the taxpayer for these complaints and where they're coming from will possibly demonstrate the focus and priorities of a council. And I think that is highly important to the public. So with that said, as I said at the start, I commend the councillor for bringing this motion on behalf of the people. Is there anyone wishing to talk against the motion? With that, I put it to the floor. Oh, sorry.
I'd just like to
Please.
close, Chair. Thank you. I'd just like to respond to Councillor Sanders' comments about maybe not. We will have decisions about the OIA sometime in the future. How long's a piece of string? Do we have to wait because something may or may not happen? I think we move forward now, and if this turns out to be contradictory, if it's voted in favour, if it's contradictory to anything that comes out in the future from the state government, then we could revisit it at that time. I would add that it wasn't my intention to raise a motion at all, let alone have any additional costs incurred by way of legal opinion. I've been trying for, I think it's roughly 12 months now, to have this brought forward, and I believe it could have been dealt with as an administrative matter rather than a motion, but that wasn't to be, so which has basically forced me to move the motion, which then caused the cost of the legal advice to be incurred, which I regret, but that wasn't my intention. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor. I'll put the motion to the floor. Those in favour? Those against? Motion carried.
Please note I didn't vote.
And we can please note abstain from the voting and also a division.
Okay.
How do you do that? Because if you abstain, that's taken as an against. It's a no.
It's a negative if you abstain.
In that case, I'll vote in favour.
And if the division, you called a division?
Called a division. Thank you. Move on to item 11.3 and call upon Councillor Moriarty.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to introduce item 11.13. It's a late item, the Olympic Sport and Recreation Advisory Committee. I'd like to take the report as read and introduce a recommendation that that one, council endorse the formation of the Olympic Sport and Recreation Advisory Committee. 2, council approve the attached terms of reference. 3, council authorise the Chief Executive Officer to commence a process to obtain nominations for committee members. 4, council appoint one councillor to serve as chair and one councillor as a committee member. And 5, council receive a future report recommending membership appointments.
Thank you, councillor. Could I have a seconder to the motion? Councillor Chook. Councillor Moriarty, would you like to talk to your motion?
Thank you, Mayor. Suffice to say that the fact that the rowing at the moment has been lost to the Scenic Rim for the 2032 Olympic Games is obviously of concern to the people of our region. It's been a very disappointing decision. It would be hoped that this committee, alongside advocating for the rowing to be returned to the Scenic Rim, also would be involved in identifying other opportunities for our region with regard to the upcoming 2032 Olympics, which may include things such as training camps for nations, potentially other events and other opportunities, and also for opportunities to leverage sport and recreation for our area, for our region, to increase participation locally and and leverage off the 2032 Olympic Games to improve sport and recreation facilities and participation across the region. So for that reason, I support the recommendation and the motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the council? Councillor McInnes?
Yes, Mayor, I'm probably a bit disappointed in the resolution that it doesn't match. And I know the intention is there, but the flow on to businesses, and that's where, you know, the business development for the area, I think we should be, that's just as important, and the upgrade to facilities around the place that we might get from the two other levels of government to upgrade roads and whatever it was. And that's why the main reason behind getting the Olympics to South East Queensland was to, you know, get the infrastructure in a better position than what it historically had been moving forward. So, yeah, I think we should, and while, yes, the sport and whether it's training or whether we can get the Olympics back to here, it'd be very good, but it's also the business and work with businesses and make sure that they're actually, the whole community's going to benefit from it.
Thank you. I don't think the intent, as you rightly point out, Councillor, is lost with that initial vision in terms of getting the necessary infrastructure and supporting the region in that regard is lost. Are you proposing some form of an amendment?
It doesn't have to, I think, but people should be aware of that in moving this motion forward too, that it's not just focused on the actual sport itself.
Appreciate. It's about the intent and the impact for our region. Thank you, Councillor. Any further questions or comment? If I may, Councillor, is it your intention to post this motion to actually nominate and appoint a chair and a councillor to the committee today?
That's for decision for others. I don't have that intention personally, but if you would like to address that, we can do that after the passing of this resolution, or we can perhaps discuss that at a briefing session at a later date.
Okay, thank you.
I'll just probably check on that last comment by Councillor Moriarty, whether the time frame to get to another briefing would work, or whether we need to do it today.
Sorry. Through Mr. Mayor, Councillor Moriarty, the time is of the essence, so to speak. So if there is the opportunity to nominate councillors to this advisory committee today, that would be really helpful.
That's perfectly okay.
Thank you. I'll put the, there's no one wishing to talk against the motion. Does you want to sum up, Councillor Moriarty?
No, I think we've covered it. Thank you, Mayor.
I'll put that to the floor. Those in favour? Carried unanimously. We now need to look to make an appointment to serve as chair and one councillor as a committee member. I'm putting that to the floor today to call for nominations. Councillor McInnes?
Yes, Mayor, and given what I said earlier, I think Councillor Moriarty and Councillor Chalk are the obvious people, given that Councillor Chalk, business development, yeah, that they and his past sports involvement, that they be there, and I haven't got a strong opinion either way who would, as chair, but that's, I'll just first of all put their two names forward as ones who might sit on this committee.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Well, I suppose, yeah, we'll get to that, but we need to, it would probably actually make things a little easier and put the weight back on you, councillor. Which one would you like to nominate as chair?
I thought you'd say that. Yeah. I think Councillor Moriarty is being looking after sports. That is the focus on it. But if I was had to nominate, but that's why we're paid the big dollars, I suppose, and to make those recommendations. And yeah, as I say, I think either would do a job, but given Councillor Moriarty's role there in sports, I'd nominate him as chair and Councillor Chalk as a committee member.
Thank you. Councillor Moriarty, you accept the nomination?
I'd just like to make one comment, Mayor, if I may, as chair of the local disaster management group that I already contribute some time above and beyond normal council duties in that role. And while I am very appreciative of the Deputy Mayor's vote of confidence and his nomination, I just think there needs to be some consideration of equity of workload amongst councillors. Yeah, so with that in mind, I'm thinking potentially I may be a committee member, happy to be a committee member. And the other question I would like to raise is whether you yourself, Mayor, would like to be involved in that committee as the Mayor of the region. Your thoughts about that?
Certainly. And I think the answer to that, councillor, in terms of the latter question, is that I serve on a number of committees already at the councillor mayor's level, including the Olympic Leveraging Committee. I would think it'd be beneficial for this chamber and for the people of this region in terms of spreading that equity across the chamber and input. And I will, any member of this chamber will be able to attend those committee meetings and serve in a non-officio capacity, which I will be more than happy to do. Putting it back to Councillor McGuinness, would you like to amend your nomination?
Yes, Chairman, I'll ask Councillor Chalk if he would like to take on the role as chair there, and with Councillor Moriarty, given what he said, as a committee member.
Yeah, I'm happy to do either. So
happy to accept the role as chair. Nomination for chair. Thank you, Councillor Chalk. Councillor Moriarty, you happy to accept the nomination for committee member?
Yes, Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Hay.
Can I ask, are there any other nominations?
No, in the absence of any other nominations, that eliminates the need for a poll. And I'll call upon a seconder to the motion, please.
So we've got a motion, yeah, okay. Yeah, motion on that.
Councillor Sanders seconding, thank you.
Councillor Moriarty made a very, very valid point. We're starting to get a lot of committees and a lot of groups, and we're going to lots and lots of meetings. And yeah, this was just another added one. I agree. It's very important. It's just yeah, you sometimes wonder about the workload.
Thank you, councillor. Anyone wishing to talk against the motion? Councillor McInnes?
No, nothing more to add, Mayor.
I put it to the floor. Those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Yes, we now need to, turning to item 12.1. Could I, you're happy to move, thank you.
You'll have to read the motion.
Is that there? Okay, put my goggles on. That I'm happy to move the motion in accordance with council standing orders for council meetings, policy and the provisions of section 254J-3 of the Local Government Regulation 2012. Council closed the meeting to public to discuss confidential items as follows. 12.1, procurement exception, commingled recyclables, processing services, which is closed under section 254J 3G, and 12.2 late item, Chief Executive Officer performance review and remuneration review, closed under section 254J 3B, as discussions will be held about negotiations relating to a commercial matter and industrial matter affecting an employee.
Thank you. A seconder to that motion. Councillor Cryer. Those in favour? Passed unanimously. And we will now go into closed session and return on the half hour. Thank you. Welcome back, everyone. I now propose a motion that we come back into open session. Could I please seek a seconder?
Happy to second.
Thank you, Councillor Sanders. Those in favour? Carried unanimously. I now call upon Councillor Chalk to introduce item 12.1.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Today I'll introduce report 12.1, which is procurement exception, commingled recyclable processing service, closed under section 254J3G. I'll take the report as being read and I'll move the following motion that council resolve to engage the supplier Visi Paper Pty Ltd, trading as Visi Recycling under section 235A and B of the Local Government Regulations 2012 from the 1st of July 2025 for an initial period of 2 years with 2 one-year options extensions.
Thank you, Councillor. Seconder to the motion, Councillor Moriarty. Anything further, Councillor Chalk?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Anyone wishing to talk against the motion? I then put the motion to the floor. Those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. I call upon Councillor McInnes to introduce item 12.2.
Yes, Mayor, if I could introduce
Microphone.
to late item chief.
Excuse me.
I can't do it. I'll see if I can read it from this way. Late item, Chief Executive Officer Performance Review and Remuneration Review closed S254J3B. The motion being that Council appoint the Chief Executive Officer's Performance Review Panel for the period November 2022 to 30th of April 2025, comprising of Mayor as Chair, Councillor Tom Sharp, Deputy Mayor Councillor Duncan McGuinness, Councillor Amanda Hay, Councillor Marshall Chalk, and the Acting General Manager of People and Strategy. And 2, Council approve a 3.5 of base salary at risk payment payable in the next pay period for the Chief Executive Officer for performance in the period November 2022 to November 2023, and a 3.5% increase to the base salary for performance in the period November 2023 to November 2024, and that this increase will apply from the first pay period in December 2024.
Thank you.
So move, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. Could I please have a seconder to the motion? Councillor Chalk. Councillor McInnes, would you like to talk to your motion?
No, thanks, Mayor. I think it's self-explanatory.
Anyone wishing to talk against? I put it to the floor. Those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. And that now draws our meeting to a close at 11:33 a.m. Thank you.